Here is another I told you so. This is about the Myanmar National Unity Government, this fake parallel government being backed by the US and its Western allies. They're trying to get them back into power after Myanmar's military threw them out of power in February of this year. And this is from Myanmar Now. This is a US government-funded media platform in Myanmar. It's pro-opposition, and it says National Unity Government releases statement recognizing Rohingyas' right to citizenship. The shadow government formed by ousted MPs had been under pressure to clarify its stance on the issue. Why did they have to be pressured to do that if it was Myanmar's military that was the one carrying out genocide against the Rohingya? And if you read through the article, you're going to see that, first of all, no, they're not recognizing their right to citizenship. They're just saying that because they were pressured to, and they tried to get out of it, and they've made some very vague promises that they almost certainly aren't going to keep. That's what the article is really about if you read it. The National Unity Government released a statement on Thursday in an effort to dispel doubts about its position on the status of the Rohingya in Myanmar. In the statement, the NUG suggested that the country's 1982 citizenship law, which has been blamed for reducing the Rohingya to statelessness, could be repealed once a new constitution has been drafted. In its place, it said, would be a new law that would base citizenship on birth in Myanmar or birth anywhere as a child of Myanmar citizens. And the only reason that they did this was because the US government, who's backing them, pressured them on this issue. During a hearing on the ongoing crisis in Myanmar held by the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee on May 4th, the National Unity Government was challenged to commit to recognizing the Rohingya as citizens of the country, because on their own they weren't going to do this. Because they hate the Rohingya, they do not recognize them as an ethnic group in Myanmar, even though they're an ethnic group in Myanmar, and they want to expel them from the country, and most of their supporters do too. Will this government provide citizenship documents to all Rohingya born in Burma or refugee camps? Congressman Brad Sherman asked. Kua Mo Tan, Myanmar's permanent representative to the United Nations, during one exchange. And then, speaking on behalf of the National Unity Government, they said to suggest that the parallel government's policy would be based on the existing law, albeit in amended form, which is not a real answer. This is them trying to get out of it. And then Sherman says, for you to say we're going to carry out existing law would be like a post-Nazi government saying we're going to carry out existing German law. And if you go through all of my work over the last 10 years, you will see how it was always Aung San Suu Kyi and her followers that were forcing Myanmar's military not to allow the Rohingya to have citizenship, that the military actually had on several occasions tried to do this, and it was blocked by Aung San Suu Kyi and her opposition groups under the threat of mass protests, and then these groups going into Rohingya communities and carrying out extreme violence. And this is something that the US government has always tried to pin on Myanmar's military and the Western media also, and they've always tried to downplay the role of these people in blocking Myanmar's Rohingya communities from becoming citizens and just having basic human rights and being able to live in peace as they have for generations inside Myanmar. Here, Myanmar Now admits that the move was likely to stir some controversy among anti-regime activists, as a broad cross-section of Myanmar society is staunchly opposed to recognizing the Rohingya as one of the country's so-called national races. So this is Myanmar Now, an opposition newspaper, saying what I just said and what I've been saying for the last 10 years, that it's the supporters of Aung San Suu Kyi, not just Myanmar's military, that played a role in this whole Rohingya crisis. You could see that they had to be pressured by the United States, who, without their support, the National Unity Government wouldn't even exist right now. And so here I'm going to make another prediction. They're just paying lip service to the US. They have no intention of ever carrying this out. And if somehow they're able to come into power, they're going to go right back to purging the Rohingya from within Myanmar's borders. That is what's going to happen. They will never honor this promise. It'll never happen. The vast majority of the people supporting them want the Rohingya expelled from Myanmar, and that is what will happen. Opposition media, not me, not Myanmar state media, not Russian or Chinese state media, the opposition media itself telling you where the opposition stands on the Rohingya and how you have to twist their arm to even get a half-hearted promise to treat the Rohingya like human beings. What does that tell you about this so-called pro-democracy movement that claims it's predicated on human rights and freedom? If you thought this video was useful, please like and share. Try to get this information out to as many people as possible. Think about subscribing. It's free to do and it helps my channel grow. Check the video description for the link to this article, as well as to ways you can help support my work, like by becoming a Patreon member. You can help support my work month to month. Sometimes I give a little extra content to my Patreon supporters, and there are these lines of communication that allow us to talk to each other and kind of build a community around this work. And to everyone who has been helping out in every single way, thank you so much. I couldn't do this work without that support. And as always, thank you for watching.